Hello, today we're going to talk about the Maximo application suite and specifically an industry solution that we have called civil infrastructure. This solution will give you an insight into a few different applications of the suite, which will include the Maximo visual inspections. For the agenda for today, we're going to give a quick introduction. We'll give an overview of the application suite and all the applications that go into the suite. Then we'll do an overview of an industry solution called civil infrastructure, which will have a use case around doing inspections and defect detections on a bridge, which will do a short demo of a few different of the applications within the suite. My name is MattLister. I'm a solution engineer under the sustainability software. I'm a longtime Maximo user, implementer, and now software support for clients in the national market. To begin, let's talk about the journey to predict. So our application suite is really an expansion of our existing product called Maximo Manage. As you guys know it, it would be the enterprise asset management software that you have today. Most clients are in an older version called 7.6.1.2. And within the new suite, when you upgrade, you'll be going to a version of 8.x. We currently are on 8.9 of the MAS suite. But the big thing around the application suite is we've now given clients the capability to expand how they track assets and the life cycle of that asset. If you see on the left, manage is what you have today and what you have as an EAM solution. But what we've done is added additional applications that you get with the suite that will help you track information, data around assets. The monitor solution is the solution where you can bring in not just the maintenance data from Manage, but also operations data, visual data from our visual inspection tool that we'll show today. And then you'll take that data and expand on it by looking at the health of the asset, the health of the data, and then start to predict failures and improve your reliability-based maintenance of the asset in your EAM solution. Today, most clients are on a periodic-based maintenance process or just a corrective maintenance. Here with predictive, you'll be able to predict failures before you do maintenance or improve the maintenance of the assets. As part of the suite, you're going to get many different applications. The first one, and we're going to spend a lot of time in this today, is what you know today is called Manage. Within Manage, you'll have the scheduling of the work, all the applications that you have normally. But we've also done a lot of expansion around the mobile solution that fits with both Manage and these other applications that we get. On top of this, you also have the ability to add industry solutions. And today we'll be talking about one of them called civil infrastructure. The next group of applications, which we call asset performance management applications, includes the monitor, the health, and predict. And these three can actually stand alone if you have a different EAM solution rather than Maximo Manage. You can connect these really to any assets that you have and start to monitor that operations type data. And then the additional applications, one we'll talk about today is the visual inspections, where you, and again, this can be standalone, where you can just put an iPad or use a drone to collect visual pictures, videos, snapshots of anything that you want to detect, a defect of classification, of object detection. So many different use cases around using the visual inspection to find defects that can then be tracked in your EAM managed solution. All these applications now sit on top of Red Hat OpenShift as the bottom line infrastructure, and this can be offered on any type of cloud as either a managed service or if you choose, you can manage it yourself on your own cloud or our cloud. Today we're going to be talking about manage, where I'll show you how we do some work orders and BIM models and defects. I'll show you on the mobile solution how we do the inspections of the bridge. We'll jump into MVI to show the process of how the model works in detecting issues within the pictures or video. And then we'll also look at monitor of alerts and defects around the data. Well, if we go one step farther into the managed solution, this is what you have today. We've really expanded on what you have access to. In the past, all these different industry solutions and some of these add-on applications were different part numbers within the Maximo library of catalog of items you could purchase. Today, when you get the new licensing, you'll have access to any of these applications, and all you have to do is download and start to use the applications. Today, we're going to be looking at applications around asset and work, a little around the spatial, but mainly we're going to concentrate on the civil infrastructure industry solution, which will add applications to the core Maximo system. We'll also touch on the mobile and then go into the additional applications around the MAS suite. So the civil industry solution is something where we add on additional applications and functionality onto the MAS suite. So when you buy MAS, you're going to get the core applications around manage or EAM, monitor health, MVI. But with the civil industry solution, you're going to get additional applications in the manage around defects, around the BIM model. Within monitor, you're going to get some dashboard capabilities around tracking operation type data that comes from a bridge, for instance. Health and predict, we've got standard algorithms and models that can be included as data that goes into the predict model. And then MVI, you'll get the existing visual models on object detection, classification detection, and anything around how we can utilize all these data to help do a civil use case. Within manage, like I said earlier, you're going to get, when you get the core system, which are the ones in blue, when we add on an industry solution such as health, safety, environmental, which would be ones in gray, the civil, I put in red, you can add multiple industry solutions within the managed application. Today, we're just going to touch just on a few of the applications. There's hundreds of applications within Maximo now. So we're going to look at assets and equipment, the inspection module, which we'll do on the mobile app, and show you how you can do an inspection in the field, create what we call defects. These defects can then be used within visual inspections if you've got photos, and then we can monitor the defects and alerts. So the process around the visual inspection is pretty simple. It's really go collect some data. Let's throw the data into our trained model here in the middle, and then output some results that will get sent over to our monitor health or trigger work orders in Maximo. So today, when we go through the process, we're going to do an inspection, find a defect, take a picture, send the picture over to MVI, have the MVI model detect any issues within the picture of the bridge, trigger an alert over in monitor so we can monitor the alerts that come in, but also in this case we will trigger a work order and a defect on top from that inspection, and we can go then into Maximo and view the defects on the BIM model that comes with the civil industry solution. So here's the process. First step, and this is what I'll do in the demonstration. I'm going to conduct a mobile inspection with Maximo Mobile. On the mobile, you'll be able to do work orders or inspections. Then we're going to look at a little bit on work order planning, and you can do this from the actual application or from the mobile where you review your materials and labor and planned activities around the work order. Once we find the defect on the mobile inspection, we're going to take a picture and detect the defect on the mobile app and send that straight into the deployed model of MVI, where MVI can look at the picture and find out if there's any defects and create any alerts. Then we'll go into the monitor application, monitor those alerts, look at other sensor data that came from our assets on the bridge, any sensors. We could also look at any maintenance data if we needed. And then we can create a service request or a work order, follow-up work order from the monitor, or we could create it straight from that inspection. Then the final step would just be go back into manage as the work order completion, complete any of the follow-up work, report all your labor material failure reporting. I'll give you a quick glance into the new application called BIM model, where we can mark up the defects right on the bridge model, and then we approve and report out the work. Now we're going to go in to do a demonstration of Maximo application suite. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at as far as a demonstration is going to be the mobile app. So the mobile app is part of the Maximo Managed Suite, and you get this application by going to the App Store and downloading it from Apple iOS, Android, or Windows. So when I click on the application, I'm going to see all the applications within Manage that I have access to. So this is all controlled by security, just like the Maximo desktop. My first option is my schedule, and that's going to be work orders that I have in the system that are assigned to me. So if I select that, I'm going to see that I've got one work order for a bridge inspection, and I know this bridge inspection also has a inspection application form to do on it. I'm going to go back, and I also have the ability to see any materials and tools that are reserved for me on any work orders that I have. I can view all these work orders on a map if I wanted to see where I didn't have this configured, where the work orders exist. I can create what we call a service request, which we'll talk about a little bit later. This is the request for work or for maintenance. You can do physical counts now on the inventory, and then inspections, which we're going to go into in a second, and then you can create defects directly from the inspection or view the defects on their own. In this case, I'm going to go straight into inspections applications, and I'm going to be able to see any inspections that are assigned to me personally. So if you have a role as a bridge inspector, you will see any inspections that are in his queue for the day. I have one in here that I want to use that I already started. So I'm going to go into my in progress inspections, and these filters at the top can be controlled and changed. So in this case, I can see all the inspections that I have assigned to me, which is 14. If I have a barcode of the inspection or the asset, I could use the barcode reader here. And that'll give the ability to just read a barcode to give you that work order number, inspection number. Or I could do a search. I know in this case, I'm looking for a bridge inspection. So it's going to filter on the description of the inspection. So now I see I've got one bridge inspection in here. You also notice on the mobile app, there's a blue button. This usually tells you the next step in the workflow of the process. In this case, it wants me to hit the Start Work Inspection button. So I'm going to select that. And these inspection forms can be easily configured to answer any type of questions. It can be a multiple choice question like I have here. It could be a value question where I just type in, I could use the plus, or I could type it in directly. I could say, this was every 1 year. It can be multiple choice where I could just select. It can be a yes or no question. I have some of them down here. So as you see, you can create any type of inspection from this inspection forms. In this case, I'm going to not complete the entire inspection because I've got so many questions, but the intent here is I want to go inspect the bridge, and then I want to create a defect from the inspection. So if I'm looking at all the questions and I say pass, fail, enter a number, and then I say I want to create a defect that I find while doing the inspection. This is now going to create a defect record within Maximo Manage, which we can go to and take a picture of the issue. So from this inspection, I'm going to create a defect, and now it's going to hyperlink me right into the defects application. Oh, kick me out. Let's try that again. Defect. Okay, so now I'm now into the create defect application. Here I can assign it an asset number, which would be the asset number of the bridge. This is a bridge on I-95. And then I can take a photo. So here I want to take a photo either from my library, which I could grab one that I already created, or I can take a picture right on the screen. So I'm going to take a picture of my bridge. Move this over, and I'm just going to say, take a picture. So now I've got my bridge. This over. Okay, so now I've got a picture, and I can use this photo. Now I can name the photo. I'm going to say this is a bridge crack 1, crack on bridge. And I'm going to hit the checkbox at the top to bring that picture. So now I've got a picture on the defect. I could give it a location by looking up the location of where that bridge is. I can also classify it. If I've got, bridge rating as a classification, maybe I want to use, I could select that. The defect is a concrete structure, and it'll build a classification list. I'm going to say this was just a crack, and I'm going to say it was based on the foundation failure. So now I've built kind of a failure cause hierarchy around the classification. I could give it a rating. I'm going to say this is damage. You could say where it was. I could give it additional description. And now I've got some information around the defect. This defect will be attached to the work order that we'll look at later on the inspection to then have everything interrelated around this bridge. Now, the interaction between the mobile and the visual inspection is going to be the next step. So now once I took the picture, I can hit the little 3 dots here, and I could analyze this photo. By analyzing the photo, it's going to send this photo over to our visual inspections software and run the photo through Maximo Visual Inspections to detect any cracks on it. I'm going to click back. I did one earlier because this is out on a server. So I'm going to go back to my defects. Let's save that. Okay. And let's look at one that I detected earlier. Defects. And I think this one here was closed. Let's look at this one. So here you'll see that photo got sent over to visual inspections, and it detected a crack, and it'll put a alert defect around that crack. And you can see that right here on the mobile. You'll be able to see it on the work order. But we're going to go into the visual inspection software next and show you how the MVI detected this picture or this crack on the picture. So this gives you a link between the field inspection and your MVI solution. Okay. So now we're going to get out of mobile and we're going to go into the MVI application. Okay, so to just give a quick review of the workflow process of the demo, we first started in the mobile app, which we just did there, where we looked at an inspection, which was really a work order inspection. We looked at creating a defect from that work order inspection. And now we're going to go into the other applications within the suite. Number 3 step here, MVI application. We're going to go look at the maximum visual inspections applications. Then we're going to go into the maximum monitor solution to view some of the alerts. And then we're going to go into the core maximum managed system, look at the work orders that we created, the defects, and then also look at the BIM model. So I'm going to select over to the application suite. So the application suite is built with many different applications that I have access to. For instance, you'll have access to the visual inspections, the monitor, and the actual managed solution. When I go into the suite, I will be able to see all the applications on one login screen. So first, let's go into maximum visual inspections. So from the suite login page, once I log into MAS, I'll have access to any of the applications that is controlled by security. Now, this visual inspection software can stand alone without the managed solution, without the monitor, health, and predict if needed. I'm going to click continue and go into the visual inspection software. It's really a 4-step process when finding defects on visual pictures and videos. The first step is always creating a data set. So this would be all your good and bad pictures of defects. So for instance, for a bridge, I might initially load in many different videos and pictures of the bridge that are both good and bad. So we can start to prepare that data. Preparing the data means looking at the pictures and labeling objects that you define as a defect. So if you've got cracks on a bridge, you can first initially put a circle, a square, polygon around those images so that the model can look at future pictures of the bridge and decide if it was a defect or not. You can also do this around classification of assets or items or objects on the picture or video. Once you've prepared that data, and it can be a small subset of photos that you need to do this, you're going to train our existing models that we have, and we'll go over those few models. And then we're going to deploy the model so that when you get new pictures like the one we took on the mobile defect, it'll run the pictures through the model and detect any of the either object detection or any of the defects. So let's get started. Over on the left side, you're going to see applications within MVI that are similar to the 4 I just talked about. Data sets is where, again, you can load in, tons of pictures. You can start with a small subset and let the system continuously train itself. Here I've loaded in a few bridge inspection photos. And then you're going to go into the models once you have your set, and you're going to deploy a model, either an image classification, an object detection, or an action detection. And then you're going to look at the deployed model. So here we're going to jump right into the deployed model just to speed through the overview. But I'm going to go into one I created for the bridge defect detection. So this is the deployed model where my photos are getting sent to. So anytime, once I have this set up, I can have my manage, anything I do in the manage piece around taking pictures on inspections, taking video, sending that video in. It'll come through the model, and here I've set up different object detection. So it can look for algae, it can look for cracks, and it'll give me a confidence of how confident that object detection is, and it'll also give you accuracy, how many iterations of the different photos, angles that you need to look at. So for this example, I'm going to bring in a picture manually, similar to the one I took on the defect. And I'm just going to select one of the pictures of the bridge that has a crack. So once I bring this in, it's going to run it through this model and look for these 5 things, similar to what it showed on the mobile app. So it puts a circle around the different defects. So I've got 2 defects. It shows you the average, and you could get some quick confidence thread on the picture, but it'll give you show you all the defects on that photo. The last thing that you have is projects. So these projects are what you can deploy on your mobile app. If you've got use cases around assembly lines, where you just want to put an iPhone at the end of assembly line, you can deploy the project right onto the phone, and it can do everything as far as the model detection, photo detection right on the phone there on the assembly line. From here, I'm going to once I've ran all my defect photos through MVI, these are then sent over to the application called Monitor. So Monitor is just another application on the application suite, and within Monitor you've got dashboards, you've got an ability to connect devices directly for operations type data. If you've got DCSs, historian type data, you can bring that sensor data in. So in this use case, I'm going to go right into the view dashboard where I've created a dashboard around the bridge. Within the bridge, you can have sensors. In this case, we've got some sensors on a bridge for some demo data where we collect into the monitor solution. See the bridge here. Well, you can set this up to have these alerts, if it's good or bad, detect right on the photo. These are then linked down into the alerts. So if you've got a threshold, or if you've got a sensor point that hits a certain point, that you can create an alert. Alerts are not the same thing as a defect or a work order. These can be just alerts tracked in the monitor solution by maybe a reliability engineer. You can set other integrations around weather. We've got a weather feed API from weather.com. So you can always see, things like temperature and wind speed. You can do calculations within Monitor, where you've got a whole library of things that you can, calculations, algorithms that you can use, and then just attach the sensor point. You can look for things like vibration, creating these graphs, charts that a reliability engineer can look at, wind speed. And then you can also look at the data that came over from Maximo Manage and MVI. So in this case, here's the asset bridge that I used within the mobile app, and I've found 8 defects. If I drill into this asset, I can now see additional information around those alerts. If you see on the left, we've now got a hierarchy that matches your Maximo Manage. So if you've got either a location or an asset hierarchy, you can import that into Monitor. So you can drill into components within the bridge. In this case, I'm on the bridge. I've got a few more metrics around weather and sensor data. But then over on some temperature down at the bottom, now I can see my alerts. And at this point, I can say, okay, do I want to just select an owner? I can assign this to somebody. I can give it a status, so I can validate that it's an alert, or I'll have the ability to then create a follow-up work order if needed. So if I go over to the alerts tab, Over here, up here, I can see that I can look at the alert. If I want to drill in, I can see additional information around the alert. I could do additional, bring in additional metrics. I could do additional dimensions, calculations all around that one alert. I can look at additional dashboards if I wanted to create dashboards. So let's go back. And then I can come in and I can say if there's any service requests that I need to create. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard at the beginning here. Let's go back. And if I need the ability to create a service request from the alert, I can do that as well. Right here on the alert, I can say create a service request. This option of create a service request is going to create it right in the manage application. So here, as soon as I selected that from the monitor, it jumps me to Maximo Manage. You can also set, there's options to change this to be create a defect, create a work order. So many options to link monitor back into Maximo. And that's going to lead into the final thing we're going to review is the follow-up work order. So this here, I see an issue, I give it alert, I analyze the alerts. Now I'm going to go create a service request which become a work order in your Maximo application to go fix that issue. So this is where then you'll be able to assign that service request work order over to the technician to go fix the defect. The last step in the process is now I'm going to go back into the manage application and review the service request work order for follow-up that I just created from monitor. So back on the application suite, again, I've got access to manage, monitor, health, predict, visual inspection. So I'm going to launch manage, and you can if you have access to only do things within Maximo Manage, you can directly link into this application. So this is what you probably are most familiar with of what you have today. It first sent me to the start center of the Maximo application suite of manage. I can set up what we call portlets where I've got favorite applications. Here's assets, which would be the bridges itself, work order tracking, which would be inspections and work orders. I've also got open work orders that are assigned to myself. So as the technician, I've logged in, I'm going to see any of the work orders that were provided and assigned to myself. Here's the follow-up bridge maintenance to fix the crack. So I'm going to go into that first. So I'm going to select right onto the record or transaction, and see I've got work order number 1492. So this is the follow-up work from the alert that we got. You'll see a lot of information around the asset, which is the bridge, information around that. You've got your plans tab where you can plan out any labor, materials, services for that. You can assign the work. And then since this is a follow-up work, we'd actually be jumping right into the actuals where you could assign a craft or person to do the work, reserve or get any parts out of the inventory. The items I wanted to concentrate today, though, are around the BIM model. So I'm going to go over to the asset itself, and I'm going to click on go to applications, and this is going to hyperlink me to the asset of the bridge. From this screen here, I can see any work, both work orders, if I've got inspection work orders, or even defects that have been created on this asset. So over time, you start to build a good history of all the work. It could be routine work, it could be corrective work, and then any defects that are found on this. So for instance, this I think 1204 was the one I created. So I could come here and I could view the defect in the defects application. The other piece that I wanted to show, and the final piece, is the BIM model. So the BIM model is new in the civil infrastructure industry solution. So here you have the ability to take a model, a 3D image of the bridge, in this case, and you can look on the bridge and define where that defect might have happened. So in this case, I'm going to say it was on the pillar, and I've got some saved views here. So I'm going to click on one of them that I created earlier that jumps me right to where the defect happened. And in here I could say show defect markups. So I could create a new defect here. I could say if I was out on the field, I could say the crack was right here, and I could save that. And I could save this defect either as a new defect, or I could select the existing one. So maybe it was, you know, this one here, and clicked OK. So now I've marked this up with a markup. So when the maintenance person comes to the defect, they'll be able to see where on the bridge that they need to fix the issue. All these 3D views can be viewed from the defect itself, from the work order. If I wanted to go over to the defects, I could come over here and I could see information around the defect itself, or I could come back to the work order. You know, if I wanted to go back to the original work order, I could come into the 3D view, and I could see, this one didn't have it, I could see where that defect existed on the BIM model itself. So now the maintenance technician will find the defect, mark it up, go fix it. Now he'll be able to come in to his failure reporting. He can go in and select, you know, the failure problem cause remedy. If he wants to do that here, he'll enter all his actuals, and then he will progress the status from a approved into a complete status. That concludes the end of the demonstration, where again we conducted a mobile inspection with Maximo Mobile. We found a defect within the bridge on the inspection, sent that defect over to the Maximo Visual Inspection application where it detected the crack on the photo, monitored the alerts that came over from MVI, from Maximo Manage, created a follow-up work order either from those alerts or directly from your mobile inspection, and completed the work to fix the issue.